Welcome to today's webinar, which is on the Early Childhood Educational Data System, including the Program Portal and Workforce Registry. Today's webinar has been designed for administrators, including educational leaders and program directors. We will be doing an overview and a demo of the Program Portal, the Workforce Registry, and talking overall about what the Early Childhood Educational Data System is. We'll be walking through commonly asked questions as well as where to go if you run into any technical problems or need further assistance. The agenda for today, as I mentioned, is that we're going to be talking about next steps related to the Workforce Registry. Hello and welcome to today's registry. We will be talking about the Early Childhood Educational Data System, or ECEDS as it's called for short, including the Program Portal and the Workforce Registry. Today's webinar has been designed for educational leaders, administrators, including program directors. The agenda for today's presentation is that we're going to talk about what ECEDS is, the purpose of the Program Portal and the Workforce Registry, as well as do a demo of both portions of the site. We will talk through next steps, as well as commonly asked questions. To begin, I have a few scenarios. Does this sound familiar? It's licensing renewal time, and teaching staff need to submit their professional development certificates. The staff claim that they gave their certificates to you, but you've got a pile of paperwork in your office that looks like this. Or how about this? You're a 5-star program, you're reviewing a potential hire for a prospective employee, and you want to take a look at what she's done in the field. Does she meet the qualifications of a teacher for your program star level? Or how about this? Your program is working towards your 4th star and Bright Stars, renewing your license and preparing to submit for CEC approval for your preschool classroom. You have to fill out the same information for your staff on 3 different forms. The same information is asked on all. And what about this? The state wants to smartly invest money in a new program for providers, but they don't have easy access to robust data on the workforce, what their education level is, their history of participation, and so we need further information to be able to make well-informed decisions. The answer to all of these challenges that we face on a daily basis is the Early Childhood Educational Data System. The system is designed to centralize evidence about the early care and education system in Rhode Island, specifically focusing on programs, program quality, workforce, and the children that we serve. This data will be used to provide meaningful, accessible, and timely information to answer critical policy questions. Enclosed is a listing of what ECEDS is. It's a system that integrates data across state agency data systems. It provides current information on early learning providers throughout the state. It's aimed at streamlining processes, including applications for DCYF, Bright Stars, and RIDE CECE. It's going to provide a centralized place for the workforce to be able to keep track of professional experience, including professional development, credentials, coursework taken. It provides one place for administrators to keep track of information related to their staff rosters, their classroom information, etc. It aggregates data on children, providers, and the workforce. And it will help us in terms of system planning, data collection, and maintenance. What ECEDS is not. It's not a replacement for individual program data systems. It's not a duplication of the statewide longitudinal data system. It's not a system that's been designed to rate, evaluate, or rank a child's performance. And it does not evaluate early learning providers' performance. The design and development of the Early Childhood Educational Data System was aimed at facilitating us in answering several key Race to the Top Early Learning Challenge questions. These questions are outlined below. For example, How many children are in various early learning and development programs, and what is the quality of the program that they're receiving? How many different programs do children attend before entering kindergarten? How many specific early learning professionals are qualified by meeting specific established standards to prepare children to succeed at school? And what are the characteristics of the current workforce, including rates of pay, turnover, levels of education, etc.? So a little bit about the Workforce Registry. The Workforce Registry has been designed for individual professionals. It is the expectation that every professional working in the field, including teacher assistants, teachers, educational leaders, trainers, faculty working in higher ed, etc., will have their own individual Workforce Registry account. This account is designed to help you keep track of professional development hours, upload transcripts and include course information, and again, to centralize evidence of credentials and certificates. A little bit about the program portal before we launch into showing you the site. The program portal has been designed for educational leaders and program administrators to centralize evidence and information about their program. Information that's included in the program portal is what helps to populate the family search. It also is where you can manage and maintain information that will be able to fill applications, and, for example, for DCYF Bright Stars and CECE. So the information that's entered into the program portal will be able to be populated into a report that can be submitted to each of those entities. Let me take a moment quickly and show you where the program family search is if you haven't taken a look at this yet. Here I am on the Exceed website. If you haven't been to this website yet, it's www.exceed.ri.gov. This is also the same place where you will log in for the program portal and the Workforce Registry, which I will show you in a moment. The family search, and we encourage all families to visit this family tab, can be found here at the top. And families can click on search as well as advanced search to pull up information specific to programs. So just as a sample here, information that's in the program portal is what populates information such as the website, meals served, languages spoken, the hours, availability in terms of space and capacity, as well as the contact information. So let's begin by exploring the program portal a little bit more. So as I mentioned before, you go to the Exceed webpage to log in. You'll want to click on the right-hand side of the page, right here, the Login button. When you click on that, it's going to bring you to a page where it will ask you to either create a new account or log in if you've already created login credentials. If you haven't yet created an account, when you click on the Create an Account button, it will bring you to a page where it will ask you to go through a series of prompts, including, are you a program administrator or not? Let me show you that quickly. So this is where you will want to answer yes or no. If you are in fact a program administrator and click yes, this is what will allow you to have access to both your own individual Workforce Registry account as well as the program portal. Anybody who's not serving in this role will want to click no, because that will establish the system to give you access specifically to your Workforce Registry only. Once you've logged in, it will bring you to a welcome page. All of the navigation along this site is on the left-hand side. It's the same for the Workforce Registry as well. For program administrators who have multiple sites, you will be able to navigate which site you enter information for and access information for by clicking on this drop-down. If you have multiple sites connected with your credentials, then you'll see those in the drop-down there. To begin, you click on About This Program, and it will bring up a whole series of options, which I will walk you through now. All of the information that is in gray here is what has either been reported to us from DCYS, or if you're a public school, from whoever is in charge of your data for your school district. If you see information here that is not correct, for example, an email address or phone number, we ask that you please contact DCYS, or, as I mentioned previously, whoever is in charge of your data for your school district. Here you'll have the ability to type in your web address and information about this program, which again show up to families on the Family Search. The contact information, you'll also have the ability to enter in an additional contact person. Both of these individuals show up on the program search. Again, the information in gray for the administrator is what's been reported by DCYS or the public school. Address is the same. It's all been grayed out based off of what we currently have record for. I'll also take a moment to say that related to the Early Childhood Educational Data System, that data with which other state agencies had, for example, DCYS, that we were able to port over and incorporate into this system we have. Not all data systems, for example, the State's Department of Labor and Training data was able to be imported, but we did import as much as we were able to do. The next tab is Hours of Operation. Here you can edit and delete these fields. Again, this is information that will show up on your program search. The next tab is for any holidays or dates that the program is closed. So this might include if you're closed for the summer, take a week off around the holidays, etc. This information will also show up on the program search. The next section is languages that are spoken in your program. You can select all that apply. This information as well shows up on the program search. The next option is to select the meals or snacks that are served at the program. When you make a change to these, be sure to click the Save button as well. Any accreditation information which is affiliated with your program will be included here. I'd also like to take a moment to note that you'll notice that anything that has this red asterisk is a required field. So it's encouraged that when you begin to enter information into that field, that you're sure that you have all of the information that's included. It won't allow you to save if you begin to type information in a required field and don't, in fact, complete that field. So please make note of that. The next section is on age groups and rates. So here you will be able to manage the number of openings that are available, and this information will show up to families, again, who are searching on the Family Search. So if you have somebody that's looking for preschool aged care and you have 2 openings available, you can indicate that there so that when they're searching, they will know that when calling you. Again, you can also update the rates, the dollars per week that the slots cost. You'll notice that license capacity is grayed out because, again, that's information that's reported over from DCYS for the district. You can also indicate whether or not you do enrollment by lottery or whether you maintain a waiting list. Here you can indicate the various types of funding that you receive. Here is your staff roster. So one thing to make note of is that if you have a staff member who completes a workforce registry profile and they indicate that they work for you, you will see them show up in this section here. You will then be able to confirm, in fact, that the workforce member does work for you, and they will move down into your current roster here. If you would like to add somebody that hasn't yet created a workforce registry account or hasn't indicated you as their current employer but does in fact work for you, what you can do is you can click this button here, Add Personal Information, and it will allow you to search by their first and last name. If you do in fact know that your staff member has created a Workforce Registry account, but maybe hasn't indicated you as their current employer, you can also ask them for their Workforce Registry ID number and enter that here, and then it will do a find, and it will you'll be able to pull them into your roster. So when you click on a particular staff member that's in your roster, the green button here, this is what comes up. So you are able to enter in the employment status, full or part-time, the wage type, the wage, hours worked per week, as well as all of the information about benefits that that staff member receives. Again, don't forget to click Save. The next section is on regulatory roles. Here we have education coordinator, nurse, and site coordinator, and the various members of your team that are affiliated with each of those roles. Once you have information about staff in your staff roster and you go to enter information for roles, for example, it will allow you the opportunity to have a drop-down and to select staff who are currently included in your roster. The next section is on classroom and spaces. Here you'll have the ability to either add or to select an option. When you click Select, it brings you to this page where you can edit the details. So again, you can see the red asterisks, which indicate the required information. Here you can indicate whether it's a regular, integrated, or special education classroom. These are the staff that are in your roster that you can assign to this classroom space, the age group served, and then you can also attach any documents related to this classroom. So for example, you might want to include a Class Darn Eckers report, you might want to include a classroom floor plan. This is a sampling of just some forms that have been added. This is all a test site, so none of this information that you're seeing is specific to particular members of the workforce or a particular program. They've also included here a playground map, food inspection, fire inspection, etc. So you can upload multiple documents, and you do it just as you would if you were sitting at your computer attaching a document to an email, for example. You do choose file, and then you can select where in fact you would like to upload that document from. Another feature of the program portal is that you are able to delegate responsibilities to your various staff. So say as an educational leader that you would like to delegate staff and space management to the Human Resources Office. So you can have that person added to your staff roster. They can, for example, create a Workforce Registry account, or you can add them in as I had indicated previously. Once they're in your staff roster, you can click on this box for what delegation responsibility you would like for them to have. You can click Save, and they will be able to have access to that information. As an administrator, you will also be able to run reports and to be able to pull up the information that is affiliated with each of these elements. So this is a sample report. You will be able to, for example, click under highest level of education and pull up a copy of the transcript for a particular staff member if they've attached that to their Workforce Registry account. You'll be able to pull up copies of certificates under these sections. And then you can also keep track of professional development hours along the right-hand column as well. You'll notice if staff have, for example, created a Workforce Registry account but not uploaded or entered any information related to their employment or previous experience, that you will show their staff name, but there will not be information in these fields affiliated with their role or their qualifications. A future vision for the site is that we will also be able to do verification of things, for example, such as transcripts and professional development courses and certificates. So this is an example of what this would look like on your administrator report. It would have a little check when you pull this up. This function is not yet available, but is something that will be coming down the road. So one of the things that's really exciting about this site, we had mentioned previously that one of the goals of ESEDS is to reduce duplication, to streamline all of the work that we're doing, and to really make this much more manageable for staff. So we are currently building the ability to do reports, which you will be able to populate directly from the information that's here and to be able to submit to each of the respective entities, DCYF, BrightStars, or CECE. First will be the DCYF relicensing application. We anticipate that being published and functional very shortly. Shortly thereafter will be BrightStars, and then CECE probably within the next month. So what you'll be able to do is to select from here which application or which report that you would like to generate. It will pull the information that you have in your program portal, including the information that is needed from staff's workforce registry to be able to populate this, and you will be able to then print and submit this. The system does not yet have the functionality for you to actually be able to submit everything electronically, but again, that's another wish list item that is coming down the road. So as you're pulling information and completing the information that's needed for each of these applications, you will notice that it will tell you what percentage of completion that you have. When you have a particular section that is fully complete, it will indicate a checklist, as you can see along the right-hand side. So it brings you through a series of prompts, confirm, and next, in which you can include the various information that you would like to have included in this application. So some questions that we've been receiving are related to Social Security numbers and information that you need to, what's shareable and what's protected in the site. So obviously to create an account, you have to include your the last 5 numbers of your Social Security number. We've received some questions as to why that is. The reason for that is that we have to do a match behind the scenes to make sure that we are in fact coding people correctly in the system and not having duplicate identities or duplicate individuals in the system. The last 5 of the Social Security number is something that is very common across states, data systems and workforce registries. Multiple states across the country are using this as an identifier. The birth date and the last 5 of the Social Security number really help to make sure that our data is accurate. I also want to affirm people that any information that you enter about Social Security numbers is encrypted in the site. So it's, the design and development team here have assured that all of that information will be protected and it will not at all be able to be accessed by program staff. Program administrators, of course, will have this information already in their program files because that's information that is needed to be able to process tax information for staff. Okay, so let's take a moment and to talk a little bit next about the Workforce Registry. The Workforce Registry is intended to serve as the individual's professional page. The aim in having the Workforce Registry is that this is something that you will be able to maintain and to continue to utilize irregardless of where your current place of employment is. So for example, let's say that you're currently working at a program. In 2 years, you obtain another position at another program. You will be able to indicate that you are no longer employed at the program with which you have shared your information. So when you indicate that, the information will no longer be shared with that job, and you will in fact be able to indicate a new place of employment and to share the information that is needed for your position at your new program. Another function that's really exciting about the Workforce Registry is that you can also generate a resume from the information that you input into the system. So let's take a few moments and we will do a walkthrough of the Workforce Registry. So very similar to the previous login page that I showed you, you will be able to log in and you'll receive a welcome page. Along the left-hand side is all of the navigation. Contact information, so we ask that you put in your first name, your last name, date of birth. It will pull the email address that you entered when you were creating your login credentials. It will also assign you your registry ID, which is right here. A vision of the site moving forward, it's not yet functional but will be, is that when you register, for example, for professional development through the Rhode Island Early Learning and Development Standards Project or through the Center for Early Learning Professionals, that you will be able to share with them your Workforce Registry ID. What they will then be able to do is, upon completion of the professional development, they'll be able to upload your certificate directly into your Workforce Registry site. So you won't have to worry about losing your certificate. Your certificate will exist from here on out attached to your Workforce Registry ID. Down below, you can also enter your address information. Here is your biography page. There's a series of drop-downs in which you can select I consider myself as well as the specialty that you see yourself as having. We also ask that you indicate a preferred contact method. Here in this About Me section, you can write a brief description of, for example, who you see yourself as a professional, what your vision for education is, etc. This field will show up on your resume. We call it a resume report. You can think of this section as oftentimes what people include as being their vision, their mission at the top of their resume. So it would show up under your name, address, email, in a line that's typed out oftentimes before you get into your actual education or employment experience. Down below, you can select which of these newsletters that you would like to receive. Again, they're all optional, and we imagine that this list will continue to evolve and grow. So as new newsletters become available, they'll be added here, and you'll again have the ability to select whether or not you would like to participate. Down below are demographics. Your age, again, has been populated based off of the information that you included when you set up your account. Here you can select race origin, primary language, your level of fluency. You can click Add Additional Language and save. The next section is for employment history. Here you click the green button to add employment experience. We're advising that everybody include a minimum of 3 previous employers. We understand and acknowledge that some people will have been employed in the field for many, many years, and it might be arduous or difficult to go back and to include, for example, 20 years of previous experience. So if everybody could include a minimum of 3 previous employers, that would be great. Here you can input your job title as your job has defined. Your job type will be a drop-down list that you can select from. Here you can input your employer name. If it's an employer, for example, an early learning program or a public school in Rhode Island, the program name will already have been populated into this list. So once you begin typing, you will be able to find the match. If it's a program that you're looking to enter from another state, then what you'll have to do is just be careful not to select any of the programs that might have come up in the initial typing in the match, and go ahead and type in the full name and address of the program that you're including. Next, we ask that you put in the start date. If you're currently working there, click present job or the end date. When you click present job, this box under employment history, this is what notifies your program administrator or educational lead to show up on their staff roster. So I had shown previously that line where staff will show up, and then you can go ahead and, yes, confirm them and pull them into your staff roster. This box is the function which notifies the administrator. Here you can select reason for leaving and then also the age groups worked with. Now, related to employment history, there are a few things that we are in the process of updating. So we are making the job type list have some additional options and specificity, so stay tuned for that. We're also adding a few additional options to reason for leaving so that list can be more comprehensive. And then for start date under employment history and then also education history, it currently asks for month, day, year. that is something that will be revised to include month and year. So in the future, it will not include the actual day. We understand that it's difficult to remember the day that you might have began either of these activities. So in the meantime, we ask that you try to, approximate as accurately and as closely as you can for those. Okay, the next section is education history. And here you can click the green button to add education. When you do that, this is the next section that it asks you to populate. So under degree/education type, there's a drop-down from, and it gives you options ranging from GED, high school diploma, CDA, associate, bachelor's, master's, lots of options. And then the institution, country, state, and then for any Rhode Island institution, for example, URI or RIC, it will automatically have been entered into the system. And so as you begin typing, it will do a match to this field here. We ask that you include your city, major, minor, start date, and end date. Again, try to, as closely as possible, approximate your start or end date. Some advice, if you don't remember, is that this information might be available on your transcripts, or you could look back at the institution to find out when they typically begin, for example, their semester in the fall. We also ask that you attach any information about whether or not you were a Teach Scholar and your current status. Here you will also have the opportunity to attach a transcript. A transcript can be, for example, in a Word document, in a JPEG, and a PDF. We understand that some people might have a hard time accessing a scanner, for example. So what you can do is you can always take a picture with your smartphone and upload it that way. You are able to log in to the ESEDS platform via your smartphone or your tablet. Some people for transcripts have been able to log on to their institution and to copy and paste to their transcript information directly from their access point at their Institute of Higher Education. So that's also another recommendation as well. The next section is professional and technical credentials. Here you can click Add Credential, which brings you to this section. There's a drop-down for credential type. So for example, you'll see CDA, First Aid CPR, RILES certificate. One important note related to the RILES certificate is that we currently have it in 2 places in the Workforce Registry. Some people take RILES Professional Development as an actual professional development course in which they receive PD hours, which count, for example, for licensing. Other people, for example, high school students in career and technical education programs, take it as an embedded part of their study, or also within institutes of higher education. And in that instance, it's also a credential. They wouldn't have received PD hours. So what we would recommend is that you have the option as of now to enter it under both sections. Here you can enter in credential name, again the date, the awarding entity. So for example, if it's Rhode Island Teaching Certification, it would be the Rhode Island Department of Education who would be the awarding entity. And then you can actually upload a copy of the certificate. One thing to make note of related to teaching certification is that something that will be coming down the road is that the ESED system will be able to communicate with the RIDES teaching certification system, and we'll be able to do a match related to anybody who's in our system that has a teaching certification. That functionality isn't available yet, so in the meantime what we're asking people to do is to go ahead and manually input any credentials that they would like to have included here. The next section is for professional development. You have 2 different things that you can do on this page. You can either add professional development courses, or you can upload a copy of your individualized professional development plan. To add professional development, you can type in the course title. We ask that you type in the course title as it appears on your certificate. Very soon, there will be a listing of center-approved courses that will show up as a drop-down option here. So stay tuned for that additional update. Here we ask that you input the contact, affiliation, hours earned, and completion date, and you can click Save. One other thing that I would like to go back and to show you under Education History briefly is this button here for Add Coursework. So the system is unable to, for example, when you attach a transcript that's a PDF, to actually pull the information that's included in that PDF. So what we're asking is that people include their specific coursework details here at this button. It's advised that you include any information that, any coursework information that is for early childhood and related courses. I know that it might be a little bit confusing to understand what is an early childhood or related course, so you can stay tuned for a fact sheet that we're going to be uploading to our help desk with some guidance about, in Rhode Island, what have been determined to be early childhood and related courses. You can enter as many courses as you would like into this system. So, for example, you are more than welcome to upload your general education courses as well. But as a minimum, we ask that you include your early childhood and related courses. So I had mentioned the help desk. Let me take a moment to pull that up and to show you where you can access that. So on the ESEDS website, and on, let's see, you will notice, example, let me pull this up, a little help icon here. So when you click on that, it will bring you to the Exceed webpage and the support desk page. So if you run into any technical difficulties or need further support, you can always click here to start a help desk ticket. If you'd like to see if there are answers to some of the questions that you have as you're moving through the system, you'll notice that those can be found here. So all of these are expandable and collapsible fields. What do you do if you forgot your password? What do you do if you forgot your username? And you'll also notice that some of this is available in Spanish as well. Some people might be asking about the availability of the ESEDS system and the Workforce Registry as a whole in Spanish. We are currently working on the Spanish translation, and that will be something that will be available to the field within the next upcoming months. Right now, the system is fully available in English, and it will be available in Spanish, as I mentioned, very soon. Okay, so we would like to communicate with the field a couple of different things. So we are asking staff and program administrators to communicate to their staff that the Workforce Registry is up and available. So we would like to encourage it as a program administrator that you get into both your program portal and your Workforce Registry and see what information is currently there. Make sure that the information that's been grayed out is correct. Add in information to the areas that are currently blank. And also let me show you very quickly where you can go to toggle back and forth in your account. So I'll pull this up as a sample. So if you're a program administrator, what you will do is you'll see your name here on the right-hand side. If you click on this, it will give you a drop-down that will allow you the ability to switch back and forth both from your Workforce Registry to your program portal. If you're a teacher, for example, in the field, you will only have access, as I mentioned previously, to the Workforce Registry. Another thing that we'd like for you guys to be able to communicate to your teams are that very soon they'll be able to select courses that they take at the center, and that the Workforce Registry will be a point where they can keep track of all of their professional development. And also be sure to communicate to your staff how your program will be using ESEDS moving forward. I think that sharing part of the bigger vision for the site in terms of being able to use it for your program, for example, your licensing renewal and applications, will really be helpful. I'd also like to make a note that you can find a recorded webinar that has been designed for teaching staff also available on the help desk, and it's encouraged that you share this webinar information with your team. Here are a few ideas for how you can include the Workforce Registry and communicate and embed this within your program. So you can use the Workforce Registry to monitor staff files. As I mentioned before, once staff complete their Workforce Registry and indicate that you're their current employer, you will have access to the various certificates that you would need to view and submit, for example, for DCYF Bright Stars or CECE. I'd also like to mention there has been a question about what information is private and what information is shared in the ESED system. So when somebody indicates that they currently work for you, not all of their Workforce Registry information is shared with their employer. The information which is shared is information which the employer would need to have anyway for part of their DCYF Bright Stars or CECE application. So this might include transcripts. This would include, for example, any first aid, CPR certificates, etc. If you'd like to find additional information and a listing of what information is private and what information is shared, this information can be found on the help desk. So another idea is that you can have perks related to participation. You can develop policies requiring participation. Some programs have required that all staff have created their Workforce Registry accounts by a particular date. You can also provide space and time to complete the registry, for example, by setting up laptops and workstations. You can integrate information about the Workforce Registry into your program's orientation. And you can also begin by no longer asking for paper copies and instead asking that when staff have something to share with you, for example, their professional development certificates, that they upload those into their Workforce Registry accounts. Now, something that will be coming is that in the meantime, RIDE has been going out and doing some small presentations to programs that request to have additional support. We do anticipate that in the spring of 2016 that the Center for Early Learning Professionals will be available to provide technical assistance and ongoing support to programs who are trying to create and manage both their program portal and their Workforce Registry. So stay tuned for more information about that. So as I mentioned before, there are ongoing developments which are currently happening related to the system as part of our broader vision. So this includes that you will be able to use your Workforce Registry ID in the future to register for professional development, and then your Workforce Registry ID number will also be able to be associated with your professional development certificate. That there will be linkages to what we're calling the Universal Program Application. Related to the Universal Program Application and the launch of this as it relates to DCYF Bright Stars or CECE, please stay tuned. Each of those related entities will be sending out correspondence and communication about what the expectation is around using the program portal to submit documentation. So you will be receiving information from them directly in upcoming months. Another function, as I mentioned, is that entities, for example, Bright Stars, will be able to do verification of credentials, or RILES, for example, will be able to verify professional development. Okay, I would like to thank you again for participating on this webinar. I do encourage that you stay tuned to additional updates and answers to common questions that can be found on the help desk. Also in the Exceed, on the Exceed web page, any updates or news will be shared there. On the Exceed help desk, we also have step-by-step instructions with screenshots for how to update your Workforce Registry and program profile, and you will be as well hearing additional information about both the program portal and the Workforce Registry in upcoming professional development opportunities where we will be sharing instructions and brochures, and trainers will be available to answer information. What we would like to ask is that after listening to this webinar, if you have additional questions and or feedback about how effective and helpful this was, if you could visit the SurveyMonkey link that's enclosed and pass along that feedback, that would be great. Again, thank you very much for your time listening and participating in this webinar.